Live from Los Angeles. Welcome back to Good Morning, LaLa. And on Friday Feels, it's all about love, and it's the most important thing to do self-love for sure. So Gina Swire is in the house. She mentors women, helps them find their own self-love, and helps them manifest a life that they love, right?
That's right.
So how are you? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, yeah. Well, I would love to come on here and say I'm amazing. That's so high vibe, but
We'll say that for you. We'll say it for you.
Yeah, I've been going through an interesting time, shall we say. I've definitely been practicing what I preach, for sure.
Well, so we want to hear this, because I know you just went to Burning Man.
Yeah.
And let's get real, like tangible. So how do you practice Burning Man in the middle of, I'm sure there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of beauty.
Yeah.
Like, what's the practice when you're in the thick of it? Like,
wow. I've been really flexing the self-love, everything. I was like, oh, give me all those practices. Yeah, so everything. I've been practicing everything. I've been going into my tent, creating my little safe space, and just going through my gratitudes and like just connecting back in with myself and how powerful and the creator, and just knowing that it's all welcome. You know, it's easy to love yourself when everything's going well, but what about when everything's crashing down, and what about in the chaos?
And what about when everything's going well and you still don't love yourself?
Yeah.
Take us back to your journey to discovering self-love. I know you were a very successful plus-size model as well.
Yeah.
Take us back.
Well, I definitely didn't used to have a lot of self-love. I was struggling with self-esteem. I was not accepting myself. I really didn't like my body. I used to wish that I was a petite brunette. What a waste. I used to say to my petite brunette friends, like, if I was you, then I would be happy. So I struggled. And the more sort of great my career became, the more I was struggling inside. And so it came to a huge crash, and I had a quarter-life crisis, quit everything that I could quit, I quit. I quit drinking and partying and my work. I quit living in New York and all my old friends, and I went vegan and started just doing a lot of yoga. And in that time, in that spaciousness, that's when I was on the floor begging for a sign many times, which I highly recommend if anyone's watching and is struggling, like get on the floor. And the sign that I got was very simple, like, you don't need to change anything. There's nothing to change, just be you. And this self-love vibe just came out very strongly. And that's what I've been following ever since, and that's what I teach.
yeah.
Just love that. I think one of the challenges that most people face is that, you know, there are certain things usually that they feel okay about, but then there's these aspects that just feel so incredibly unlovable, you know, and so I know people have different sort of approaches to that. Some folks say, well, just try to love that which is unlovable, and other folks say, well, keep your eyes and mind off of what's unlovable. What worked for you?
Ooh, yeah, I think for me, it's focusing on what's going well. You know, focus on the good parts. There's always going to be things going on, even when you're vibing really high. Like a few weeks ago when I was here, I was like, yeah, I'm alive. I'm just feeling that kind of contrast. But then on the way here, I was just like, there's so much beauty. Like even the way that I ended up being on this show was all manifested through the vision board. And I was just like focusing on the magic.
I love that. There's a great metaphor that Abraham Hicks uses. I know we talked a little bit about Abraham Hicks, and they would always say, if there's like a pothole on Main Street and you just always focus on the pothole, then the whole city seems to suck.
Yeah.
But if you take your eyes off the pothole and focus on everything else, when you feel better and you come back to the pothole, it doesn't nearly look as, you know, painful and as undesirable as you thought it was. And so that's kind of your experience there.
Absolutely.
So what do you do? You know, say a woman comes to you and she's dealing with depression maybe. You know, what modalities do you use? How do you bring her through that course?
I use kind of like it is a 12-step self-love transformation. It's something that I kind of just dreamt up one day, and it works. So I take them first of all back and try to figure out what it is that's preventing them from loving themselves. So often it's things from childhood trauma or like just a perspective on something, and we'll go through all of that. And of course, like belief systems, the BS. We go into that a little bit and start to remove anything that's blocking them. And then I'm really into vision and manifesting. So creating a really strong vision of firstly, like how they want to feel, not what they want to create, but how they want to feel. And then creating the action steps to get there. So it's a process.
I love that. Yeah. The other day I was doing a meditation and I was feeling a little alone, just missing my son a little bit, and feeling like, and I always get to this place where I realize I'm like, it's almost like I'm talking to myself as my own best friend. And when I can get back to that, there's like a magic in that, like, and nurturing myself. Do you feel like that? Do you do kind of some also like parent-child work or future self or things like that? I'm sure you have so many modalities. I mean, living in Bali too, you live in Bali.
Yeah.
Like you're surrounded by masters of, people that are so many spiritual advanced people. What's that like living there for you?
Oh, well, the first time I ever landed in Bali, even before the plane hit the runway, I was like, oh, I'm home. I've arrived. I'm here. I love it there. Everyone there is in the vibe. Even if they're not on the same vibe, they get your vibe, which coming from England wasn't something that I'd experienced before. And the community and the nature and the food and the lushness and just every event, very wholesome. It's all about grounding and coming back to yourself and coming back to love, and everyone's very huggy and touchy. And if your love language is touch, you should totally go to Bali. The Ubudian, I live in Ubud, and the Ubud hug is very much like 3 breaths at least, minimum.
You don't look like you live in Bali, though, I have to say.
Really?
No, because you just like, you do look like a model,
Thank you.
And there's beautiful people in Bali, but it's very much more of like a hippie-esque kind of feel to it for sure.
I'm a chameleon. I can do that.
Okay, go on.
I've got my guard rags on today for you, but
She is in LaLa land.
Right?
Yes.
And apparently you can also write. So you've got a book coming out. You want to talk just a little bit about that?
yeah, very excited about this one. Firstly, because I never, ever, ever, ever thought that I would write a book, ever. Because at school, I decided that I was useless at reading and writing, and I was not going to do it ever again. And so it was only a few years ago, and I was at an event in Bali, and someone said, in your wildest dreams, what would you create in your life? And the first thing that came to my mind was a book. And so I was like, well, I can't ignore that. Went home, put it on my vision board. And the next morning, I woke up to an email from a guru who said he had this 30-day book bestseller book challenge course. So I signed up and I basically wrote a book in 30 days. It wasn't finished. It took me 2 years to finish it. But I wrote a book and I'm still quite amazed that I wrote it, to be honest. But yeah, it's happening.
That's incredible.
Love that.
Congratulations. And the title?
It's called P.S. I Love Me.
Oh,
Well,
love
we
that.
love you.
Yeah.
Please tell everyone where we can find and follow you and when your book's going to be out.
You can find me on everything at my name, Gina Swire, Instagram, Facebook. You can email me if you like.
thanks so much. Stay tuned. We'll bring it back.